3, 2, 1.
Well done. Got it right this time.
There we go.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're all having a great day. It is raining to beat hell out here, and it's cold and wet. So cold that we put a fire on this morning and turned on the heat pump. It was chilly, like flipping chilly. So
I was comfy in bed.
You were comfy, yeah. The previous 3 days here have been in the high 80s and 90s. The temperatures here were just horribly hot for like 3 days. And we were all walking around going, this is just wrong because it's June and it's way too hot. And now it's March again. It's just horrible. So it's so cold. So we have a nice cozy fire on, and we're going to spend the afternoon in the cozy studio and painting and playing. And I didn't have any Happy Meal this week.
No.
No
None?
Happy Meal. I didn't know.
You've been sending out Happy Meal.
I've been sending out a lot of Happy Mail, which I like doing. Been sending out a lot of Happy Mail. And we got really cool Happy Mail going out this week too. The giveaways for today are awesome. Dynasty FM Brush has been exceptionally generous. They always are, I have to tell you. They are incredibly generous to me. And in relation to that, they're also incredibly generous to you because the giveaway this week is a 5-brush set of Dynasty black gold brushes. And we've tucked them into a nice little creator's pouch. And we're sending that out along with a couple other little goodies from us. And that is your giveaway for today. 3 giveaways of 5-brush sets of Dynasty Black Gold. You're going to love them. So that's an awesome giveaway for the week. So I'm happy about that. And I have a shout out this week. And the shout out this week goes to Renee Mullins, one of my favorite designers. Renee always comes up with some of the most adorable holiday designs and seasonal designs of any designer out there. She is just remarkable and has been doing it for such a long time. And so I wanted to give Renee a shout out because I love her stuff. It's so cute. It's so fun. And her designs are just always so clever. And she comes up with great little surfaces. So shout out this week goes to Renee Mullins. So go and check her out at plumpurdy.com. You're going to love what you see there. She's always got something new and something fun and very clever and very creative. And I just love Renee's work. So she is my shout out for this week. So go and check her out at plumpurdy.com.
Oh, we got another shout out.
Oh? What's the other one?
Mr. Edward Hensley.
Yes, Mr. Edward Hensley. You have to go check him out. Mr. Edward has decided to do a paint and chat on Twitch, which is a streaming platform similar to, there's so many different ones out there, but it's an awesome platform. And he now has a streaming channel on there. And he's going to be going live. I'm not sure when, but he's going to be doing some. He's going to be painting and chatting, and it'll just be a comfortable way to spend some time. And if it involves paintbrushes, it's bound to be a good time. And besides, Edward is flippin' awesome. He's such a great guy. You're going to love it. So go and check him out on Twitch. And it's Fuzzy One. Oh, my brain stopped. That's horrible. That's horrible. My brain stopped. Let me see. Where am I? Go back here. No, that's not the one. Seriously? How do you work this app?
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh my God. Edward, if you are watching, darling, I'm sorry. I'm such a brain dead today. Make sure that you post your link in the comment section, please, so people can go follow you on Twitch. I think it's bloody awesome that you're doing this, and I can't wait to watch and participate in your first one. So that is our shout out to Mr. Edward Hensley and his new channel on Twitch. I'm excited about that. Oh, I have an itchy nose, sorry.
Oh, I have to log it. No, not logging in.
No, too much.
I can't remember my password for it. So.
Oh, I'm lucky if I remember anything. Apparently, because I can't even remember.
Fuzzy one.
It's Fuzzy 182. That's it. Fuzzy 182. Go punch that into Twitch. He's awesome. Okay, so okay. Oh, I can't find it. That's driving me crazy. Hang on. There it is. Fuzzy 182. So FUZZYONE and the number 82. So go and check him out on Twitch. Now I've got it working. Now it's talking to me.
Why is it talking?
I don't know. There. Bye.
Yes.
Me and phones.
Other news.
Other news.
Andrea George just says, congratulations on the 6,000 subscribers.
Yes, we hit 6,000 this week. That's great.
Yay.
I was happy about that. I'm always happy about that.
Yay. Now it's 10,000. Let's go.
Yeah, 10,000 is next.
Let's do it.
Personally, I'll be happy with, 6,005 at this point.
Took 2 years to get to 6,000.
I know it's not an easy thing.
And it's hard to believe that there's creators out there that, millions.
I know. And what baffles me sometimes is the content.
True.
Like, okay.
It's very demographically charged.
Yes. Yeah, very. So I played around with my Cricut last night and put a new sticker on my
Oh, did
mug.
you? Oh,
I did,
yeah. Be kind. Of course.
Yeah. And then, of course, I had to do it again. So they don't, not even color matched. I've just been playing. This mug is sort of my canvas. I get to play with my Cricut.
I haven't seen Edward on here yet.
No, Edward is, I'm excited for him because that's quite a thing to pop yourself on
No, any platform.
on any platform and then just start talking. So, and painting or doing whatever. Me, it's totally selfish in my respect because I get to spend time with all of my painting friends and I get to spend time with you, which is awesome.
I'm amazed you do not already have 10,000.
Yeah, well, you know what? Not everybody's into this style of painting, so
Yeah, no.
and that's fine. I'm grateful for those that do follow. So we do have. I got a box in this week. I shouldn't say I didn't get Happy Mail because I did get a couple of shipments in this week. What?
Did you add anything to the glitter fund?
No.
Okay.
Why?
That's just...
Seems higher?
Yeah. Damn it.
Well, the PayPal account, it is a little higher,
No.
but not by much.
No?
No. Just a little bit. I'm waiting. I should be getting like little Christmas light up Christmas beard balls anytime now. I have some ordered from Amazon, so they should be here soon.
I'm trying to see the rest of the stream.
Let me see.
Come on. Where's Facebook? I haven't seen anybody from Facebook here yet.
There's 36 people on Facebook.
286.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Software just caught up.
Caught up. Yeah.
Hi from Alabama.
Well, according to this, it says it was delivered,
What?
but it didn't come here.
Uh-oh. Wrong address?
I don't know. Anyway,
What are we painting?
we are painting Gone Fishin'. We're doing a piece for Father's Day. Something that we don't often see in the decorative painting industry is stuff that is geared towards men. There's very little. There is some, but there's very little that are specifically targeting men. So I was thinking the other day that this would be a fun way to do something for Father's Day. So we're doing Gone Fishin'. I think it's fun. Karen Beaupre, I blame this on her. Notice I said blame.
Blame.
Well, you know what? Karen is one of those people that she comes up with these great ideas. And then she turns around and she says, "Oh, I asked her what she was doing. She says, I'm cutting out fish." And I went, "Fish?" She said, "Yes, I'm cutting out little fish." She didn't tell me what they were going to be used for, but I said, "I need fish." In fact, and then of course that's how my brain works. So I said, "No, I don't need like 2.5-inch fish. I need a 12-inch fish." She went, "Okay, why?" "I don't know yet." So she shipped me fish. And this is what I came up with. But I knew I needed a fish.
Oh, there's a good comment.
What's that?
We need to work hard to recruit younger people into the decorative painting. What's the answer? They're the best support on social media.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Start putting yourself out onto streaming platforms and stuff like that.
Yep.
You got to go where the young people are.
Yep. Exactly. You can't wait for them to come to you. You got to go find them.
Yep.
That's
That
illegal.
sounds really wrong.
I was going to say that sounds very illegal.
You got to go where the young people are.
Okay.
No.
It's kind of creepy.
You said something the other night. Mom, that's how you end up on a registry.
Yes, that's true. Yep. Yep. I can get into enough trouble all on my own. I don't need any help from you.
Walmart, unsupervised.
Yes, Walmart unsupervised. Okay, guys, I think, all joking aside, I think we are ready to start painting our gone fishing.
Okay. Oh my God.
What? White balance out.
Oh,
Oh, maybe that's the problem with this sweater.
no, other camera.
Goodness.
The blues are really blue.
The blues are really blue. Well, it is blue.
I know. but-
Bahama blue. And it's crooked. I'm just looking like the tabletop is crooked.
yeah.
The camera is crooked.
No touchy.
No touchy.
I don't have autofocus on. So
It kind of throws me off that the tabletop is crooked. Nope, that's really crooked now. I didn't help at all.
There, that's better.
So this is the one that we're going to be tangling with today. This is not as difficult to paint as you might think it is. I know he looks super detailed, but I used some really simple techniques to get to this. And I really enjoyed this. Surprisingly enough, this was an awful lot of fun, and it's very simple to paint. We're going to get started with that background, and we've done this barn board background 100 times. It's a great background. It works really well for a large range of things, and I thought it was absolutely appropriate for this one. And then I'm going to show you how to paint this fish because he's flippin' awesome and he's super easy. So we're going to start with the background for this one. And I'm going to get Renee to go fill up my water basin because I didn't. I don't have a water basin.
You don't have a water basin?
No.
All right.
Too busy. We were sitting here discussing politics, which is not a good thing. Curing the ails of the world today. And I neglected to get my water basin.
Hey, at least it's clean.
Is it? It's a miracle. So we're going to start with this background. I'm using my favorite, little bit of Joe Sonia's Fast Dry Glaze. And the color we're using is a little warm white.
Okay, no, it's not.
So I'm using a fugly brush for this. And in case you're not familiar with what a fugly brush is, this is a fugly brush. It's very appropriately named. It's a 1-inch Dynasty Encaustic Oval. It's a natural bristle brush. This one has seen better days. It has been well loved and well used. And it's used almost exclusively for doing coarse work, where I need texture, where I need, something rougher and not so smooth. And I pull this horizontally, like so. The idea being, I'm just going to create some pattern on this surface. It can be dry in places. It can have a little bit of black showing through. We're creating a rough looking piece of wood.
That's a big... Is that Gray Matters?
Yep. Yes, it is. My favorite palette paper. My friend Patrick sent that to me as a giftie. I love it. So that's it. that's as difficult as that gets. So we're looking for those imperfections. The only thing that I do is ensure that they go horizontally. If I go vertically, it tends to make this look a little stumpy, a little short. We want to elongate this a little bit. So I'm going to dry this. I do absolutely love this thing. This is my Heat It tool. They're fairly easy to get now. At first they weren't so simple to get, but this Heat It tool, you can get it at sandymctier.com. And you can also get them at cdwood.com, which is where I got this background piece, is from Cupboard Distributing at cdwood.com. I love everything that Chris Hoy puts out. They're fantastic. And I love this surface. As most of you probably know, because I use this one quite a bit. There's a couple of these arched plaques that I use quite frequently. They're flat, they're easy to ship. And this one is almost dry. Now I'm going to cheat, and we're going to separate these boards. And there's two ways to do this. We could do it with tape, and tape off little narrow strips and basically stencil between them. Or we can use my method.
You want to move your cell phone?
Oh, I can get it out of the way altogether. So we can use my method. So we cheat. Okay, this is the pen that I can never remember what it's called, the Identa pen. If I don't read it, I can't remember it. I have no idea why I have that blank, but it never fails. So you can use either an Identa pen, or you can use one of these, which is a Deli Mate. These ones are 1mm double-ended. This is actually a really great little marker. Sandy McTeer has these on her website. So either an Identa pen or one of these, and we're just going to draw in a couple of lines. Like so. Just to make our board.
People are saying it's dark. Let's see what the stream shows.
Shoop. So yeah, I'm just using a marker. Any permanent marker actually will work just fine. Did I do that wrong? I think I did. I think my line is going uphill, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because perfection is to be avoided at all costs. So I've just created a little space between these boards in the background here. Super simple, just using one of these Deli Mate permanent markers. Or one of these. I can never remember what it's called.
Identa pen.
Identa pen. I keep forgetting that. I have no idea why. Mental block. So from this point, I'm going to make sure that this ink is dry before I tackle this. It's got to be good and dry. Don't want to mess with it. Just make sure my phone is shut off. There we go. So everything is good and dry.
I saw a sign on Facebook that said, "Good things come to all who bait."
Mm-hmm. That's cute. If you're a fisherman, you're waiting anyway.
Yeah.
I went with the trout because I have some really great memories of my dad and fishing. So our color next is a little bit of asphaltum, which is that, fabulous dark brown that I like so much. The one that's, seen better days. I dropped it in the Bahama Blue the other day. So we're going to use a little bit of asphaltum. And we're going to put a float of that color along both of those lines on both sides. Don't worry about getting it perfect. It doesn't matter. Neatness doesn't really count for this. Sort of a back-to-back float. So there's lots of room for error here. You can make a boo-boo and it's easy to fix. And we're making rustic looking wood, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So there we go. We've got a nice little shadow on both sides of that. Those planks, those gaps in the planks. So I'll dry it real quick. And then we're going to do the same thing all the way around the outside edge. And this is the fun part, is that you can just, this does not have to be perfect. And it works better if it's not. Da, da, da. Now, you can make this as dark or as light as you want. If you like things to have that sort of heavily antique look, then go for it. If you prefer to keep it nice and bright, by all means, leave it as nice and bright as you want. That's entirely up to you.
She talks to herself all the time.
All the time.
She doesn't have to be painting.
No, son, you missed the point. That's muttering. I'm not talking to me.
Susan was wondering, do you talk to yourself when you paint alone?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And it's usually muttering.
Or cursing.
Or cursing. Yeah. My mother always taught me that profanity, a woman should never use profanity in public, but she said absolutely all bets are off when you're alone. So I'm just taking a little bit of that thin asphaltum and I'm just going to brush it across in a few places.
Who knew asphaltum?
Yes, I know. It surprises everybody when I do this. Et voila. So the fun part about this, as it stands right now, is that if I wanted to, and I'm going to take a little bit of thinned lamp black or thinned asphaltum, either one. Grab my other fugly brush. They work mo better when they're ugly.
Mo better?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm going to spatter this a little bit.
Already?
Sure, why not?
Oh, okay.
You can always spatter more. So, a little bit of asphaltum back there. Oops. And this is ready to trace and transfer the line drawings on. So, you're going to... Ooh.
How about this?
What?
Is there a cool tone alternative to asphaltum?
Yeah, absolutely. You could use black.
Black?
Black.
Just
Thin it out and a little more control, but yes, absolutely. You could use black.
Like lamp black?
Yeah. Well, let me show you. So if I take a little bit of lamp black, and you can use them in conjunction with each other too, but a little bit of black, especially on that white. You've got black, then the white over top. So now it's a gray tone. And because you've used black for that background, it already has a cool undertone to it. So if I switch and I go to using thinned black, it cools this off even more. Look. So having that black over top will cool it right off. And I like the age of this. But I tend to lean towards warmer tones myself because that's my preference. But black will give you a nice cooler tone. It brings out, you can see the blue coming through in here. And you could spatter it with black. You could spatter it with white. If you want to keep that cooler element, just leave out the asphaltum and use a black instead.
Is this a rainbow trout?
Speckled trout, rainbow trout, yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking because it is...
Multicolor.
Well, use some of the iridescence.
You could, yes. Absolutely.
Give it a
little sparkle.
No glitter. No glitter.
No glitter.
But I'm saying get that effect of fish scales.
Yep. The iridescent quality. Yep. So yeah, if you wanted
No glitter.
no glitter. If you want a cooler element, just leave out the asphaltum and use black. It will work just fine. And then through the magic of television.
The line drawing's on the...
I have my line drawings on.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Well, I know. Nobody wants to spend their Saturday watching somebody trace something onto the back of something.
I don't think they mind.
No, I suppose not, but I mind. Because I want to get to the fun stuff. That's my biggest gripe has always been base coating and tracing things on. And so if I can eliminate as many steps as possible, I'm going to, because this is the fun stuff. Doing the painting is the actual fun stuff. So for this, we're going to start by putting in some shadows, some drop shadows on a few things. We're going to start with that lettering. I'm using asphaltum because that's what I used for the outside edge. And again, if you want the cooler tone, try using the black. Now thin it. It's got to be nice and thin, but try using the black. So I'm using just a little bit of thinned asphaltum. And I'm putting very loose shadows in, like so. Now, I'm not looking for absolutely perfect floats for this because we're working on a rustic background. If I put nice smooth floats in, it kind of takes away from that rustic look. So I'm using very loose and irregular floats. Nothing perfect. We want a little bit of a shadow on that right side. All the shadows on this are going to be on the right and down. So when we do the shadows on this, they'll always be on the right and down. And the same with everything on here. Oops, that's
Connie from Nebraska.
So yeah, so we finally hit that 6,000 mark on YouTube. Took a while. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. And turn on your bell notifications.
Let you know when we go live.
Lets you know when we're live.
Or when a new video pops up.
Yep.
Because there is some content that is on the YouTube channel that is not on Facebook.
That's right. Quite a bit, actually.
There is quite a bit. There's about 213 videos.
Yep.
Put it that way.
So I've put all of that. Oops, almost forgot this. A little apostrophe back there. So I've got all of that. Now what it's going to do is just elevate that lettering a little bit. But we have a fishing line that runs through this. And we're going to do the same thing to it. I'm going to put a little shadow on the bottom underneath that fishing line. like so. And again, I'm not worried about it being perfect. It's just a simple little shadow. And it's just to give this a little elevation. In other words, it's not just going to be a line sitting on the surface. It's going to have a little bit of elevation. And I got it on the wrong side on this one. Right. There we go.
You went with fly fishing lures.
They're not lures, they're called flies.
I don't fish.
I know. They're actually trout flies.
Okay.
Because they mimic their food.
Okay.
How do I know these things? Because I used to go trout fly fishing with my father.
Not this guy.
Yeah. I love fishing.
I love the taste of fish.
I know. I like the actual fishing part. I enjoy it. So anything that you do, see, you're going to put that little drop shadow in there. And these are not, as I said, they are not perfect little floats. They're not tight. They're not clean. Doesn't matter. We're just changing how things look underneath. A little float around this guy. There we go. So we are ready to start the base coats for these flies. Now they're not going to take much. There's minimal detail in these. I'm going to find my brushes. I need a rigger. So I'm going to start by base coating the wings on these flies. I'm just using a little bit of warm white. And I'm following the shape of them, bringing that shape back to where it joins the body so that I'm not having to put on 15 coats of warm white. Besides, these wings, they're flies. I think this one is to replicate a fish fly. These little stinky fellas that come out during the summer. Trout love them.
Bay flies.
Bay flies, whatever you want to call them. Fish flies. Trout love them. So do dragonflies, for that matter.
Do not go down the number 6 highway in Manitoba.
Not in August.
Not in between July and September.
Yeah.
Just
your car will be coated with these stinky things.
Yeah.
And they do, when they die, smell like rotting fish. They're horrible.
They're horrible.
But trout love them. So I'm going to dry that.
Actually, is it the number 6 or is it the number 9? I can't remember.
Whatever the one is you take out towards Hecla.
No, towards Gimli.
Or Gimli, yeah. Hecla's an island.
Maps.
Fish fly season.
Yeah, the 6 goes the other way.
Yeah.
That goes out to Saint Laurent.
Ugh.
There's the number 9, 8 or 9. Let's stay away from those highways during July and September. They go up to Gimli and Winnipeg Beach.
Yeah. So the Happy Mail, I'll call it Happy Mail, but it was the shipment. My shipment from Tombo arrived yesterday.
Ah, yeah.
So I did a little happy dance in the studio because I love it when I get my Tombo shipments come in. And Tombo, as usual, was quite generous. They gave us some goodies to to share with you guys. So in the next couple of weeks, there will be some fun Tombow stuff in the giveaways. I got more of the black erasers in. I know has been asking me about those. So those came in. The pencil sets came in. The mechanical pencils, we got those in, and we got my favorite knock eraser. Those all came in this week. So my mechanical pencil.
But they're not knock erasers.
Yes, they are.
No, they're mono.
No, look in the other one with the pencils. The knock erasers are.
Oh, these.
Yes.
Ah.
So I got my favorite. I love these monograph mechanical pencils. That's my favorite. And my knock eraser it looks like a mechanical pencil, but it's an eraser, and I can't find mine. It walked away from my bin. So we finally got those back in, and we got the black erasers in. So I was a happy camper. And we got the drawing pens in too. So I'm so happy. Pencils, and so I got all my goodies from Tombow were in. What else came this week? All the new stuff we tuck into orders.
Did that come in?
Yeah, we got they're all packaged up. We got the little pin kits, those little pin kits. So we get the hearts back. We've got seahorses and starfish and
skulls.
Yes, skulls. And there's something in there. There's we got bass and we got trout.
Of course.
So those are kind of cute as a pin kit. So those have been going out with orders this week. So we got a lot of fun stuff. And we got a shipment of stencils in. And those got packaged.
I've never had bass.
Oh, I have. I'm not a fan.
No?
No. To me, it tastes like the bottom of the lake it came out of.
Yeah.
No,
But trout's good.
Trout's delicious. I'm a cold water fish girl. I like my fish to come out of really cold water. I don't like to be sitting in swamps. And
salmon is
I like Arctic char. That is to die for.
I've had char.
Yep. It's just a big trout.
It's a big trout. But trout, just lots of butter, a little bit of flour.
Crispy skin.
Yum.
So good.
Salt, pepper, squish a lime or lemon.
Yep.
Maybe some capers.
Oh, yes. Definitely got to have the capers.
Yeah. Just dip both sides of the trout into flour and salt, pepper mixture.
Yep.
And then right into a cast iron filled with butter.
Yep.
And let it fry for a little bit until it starts flaky.
Yep.
And pull it out, squeeze some lemon on it, and some pickled capers, and you're good to go. Good eatings.
Yep. Yummy. There's nothing better than pan-fried trout.
Oh, there's one thing better than pan-fried trout.
What's that?
Pan-fried over a fire.
Yes.
Get that smoke flavor in there.
Uh-huh.
Ooh. Mm. Yum.
It's like bacon and eggs just taste better when they're cooked outside.
I'm a seafood person, not quite a freshwater fish.
Oh, if it has flippers and fins, I'll eat it. That's how that works.
Hey. Careful. There was tuna companies that got in prop. Speaking of which, what's for dinner?
We're having Newfie steak tonight.
Yeah. It had flippers and fins at one point. I'm sure.
No, I don't think so. It had hooves.
And wings.
Cloven and otherwise. So I'm just base coating the body of this little guy here with a little bit of somebody ask. What's Newfie steak?
What's Newfie steak?
Newfie steak is fried bologna. It's a Canadian joke.
It's a Newfie steak.
It's Newfie steak. So I'm using a little bit of Sunny Day.
See, we got people saying it's catfish. Catfish. It is delicious.
Yes, catfish is delicious.
Just not the catfish here.
No. Ours are ugly things,
We-
spiteful things.
Freshwater, warm water catfish from down south.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yum.
Our catfish, not so much. They
Our
taste like
catfish.
the bottom of the lake.
Yeah. Gross.
Yep. Although, if you enjoy a fish that puts up a hell of a fight, catfish is. I like catching them. I just don't like eating
What
them.
is it called? Noodling? It's when they actually go to the den
Yeah.
of the catfish and they stick their arm in there.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
What? Why would you do that?
But they come out with like 30, 40-pound catfish.
I know.
That's good eating.
Have you ever seen the size of the catfish that come out of the Red River?
Like in Manitoba?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No. They're massive.
Well, yeah, that's all them.
Ew. They're ugly.
Yeah.
I pulled one out of the Petawawa River one time fishing.
You got stung. I remember that.
Yeah. No, not stung. I got stabbed.
Yeah, right. The spine.
Spine went right into the palm of my hand. Oh, did that ever hurt? Had to go get a tetanus shot.
Having homemade fish and chips. Ooh,
Ooh,
Renee Howard's
yummy. That would
doing
be
it
good.
What kind of fish?
I have haddock
What?
fillets. She's talking about like making homemade fish and chips, and I just realized that I have like a big package of fresh haddock fillets.
Oh.
Yummy. So all of those little stripes and this little segment around the eyeball on my fish
Cod.
is painted with orange flame.
Cod.
Cod.
She's using cod.
Yummy. Fresh cod. Ooh. Well, we're on the East Coast and codfish is flippin' expensive.
Yeah.
And it's delicious, but it's expensive. Even here on the East Coast, it's expensive.
I'm a campfire cooker.
Yeah.
If I go camping, I'll spend the entire weekend or 2-3 days just cooking.
Yeah.
I won't do anything else because for some reason cooking while camping,
Yeah.
it's a time killer. 2, you can make some really good food.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like anything fire cooked.
Yeah.
Fire cooked is for some reason just
Better.
better.
It's more better.
I like the fact that it's inconsistent. You get surprising tastes and crunches.
Some of those crunches aren't meant to be.
Yeah, well. Shouldn't have been in the food.
Yeah. Visitors.
Yeah.
So I'm painting the hook with a little bit of lamp black. I'm going to do the same thing to both of these. What is going on here? I have a sheet of graphite paper that doesn't like water for some reason, and so it scares away. It's driving me crazy. So once I get that first coat on, then it's fine, but it just I have no idea why it does that. So this one over here, the head, which is just this little round ball on here, is lamp black. And then in between all of these bars gets painted lamp black. So it's alternating back and forth. A little bit of lamp black in there. I remember watching I think it was one of my uncles used to tie flies. For fishing.
Janet Roche is celebrating an anniversary.
Is she?
Yeah. I didn't see how many years, but happy anniversary.
Yes, absolutely. So a little bit of lamp black for the hook. Geez, could I mess that up anymore? There we go. These guys are not hard to paint. And I used a color I'm really very fond of, which is bright salmon. Oddly appropriate for this piece. I love this color, and it is surprisingly very bright against that gray. So that's what I used to do our fishing line.
It blends right into that table.
So I'm using a little bit of bright salmon. So we've got this little bit here underneath. It's sort of a twist. So I'm just making this little twist. First day with your new feet?
Yep.
Okay. So there's 3 little pieces that come off this fly right here. And it's supposed to be twisted, little twisty thingies. That's our... I love how this color looks on this gray background. And so that fishing line is going to be painted with that bright salmon, and it's just a line all the way through it. It just weaves through. So use a rigger. You might find a liner doesn't quite hold enough paint, whereas the rigger will. And because of the way it's shaped, it's going to allow you to maintain that size throughout, so that it's a little more consistent all the way across. And I painted it orange because that's what color fly fishing, or at least some fly fishing lines, are sort of an orangey color. And this one just stood out really nicely against all of this gray. And there was purpose behind the way this fly line is going across this surface. It just pulls the eye throughout. It is the line that directs the eye around the surface. And you don't have to do anything else to this line. That's the fun part. I may take a gel pen to it a little later on just to add a little more detail to it, but you really don't need to do much to this line. We'll clean up some of the graphite a little later on. But the bright salmon works really well for this. Here we go. So before we get too comfortable, I'm going to grab a liner brush. If I can find mine. There it is. And I'm going to thin out a little bit of lamp black. And we're going to put just some strands, fine strands like this, off the back of our fly, like so. Now I'm doing these first because the little ring at the base here is actually what holds these in place. So I want to put this in first before we paint that line. So just a few strokes of the lamp black gives you that fuzzy bit on the back of your fly. And then I'm going to come over here to this one and do the same thing. So we just want some nice fuzzy lines like so, so that we have that that little flick of feathers that comes off the end of a fly. And I'm going to dry this before I end up smearing paint because I'm notorious for that. Now I'm going to get out my Bahama Blue because that is the color that I've used to connect everything. And that is not Bahama Blue, that is Crystal Blue. Here's my Bahama Blue. I think my favorite all-time Americana color is Bahama Blue. And I'm going to rinse out my rigger. And all of these little bars on our fly over here are just a simple bar of Bahama Blue. That way, just keep them fairly straight and consistent. It's a little bar. There we go. And then the little eyelet here at the mouth. And I'm going to do the same on this side. So we have our flies are base coated. They actually paint up really quickly. I do actually have to finish something that I neglected. So there's little circles on our fly over here. Little polka dots on the side here. I'm going to paint these white. Just like so. Oops. And then in the center of each one of those is a little black dot. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just a little black dot. It just adds a little detail to our fly. And I'm going to rinse out my rigger, and then we're going to do that lettering. So I'm using Bahama Blue, and I'm using a number 2 rigger, and we're going to paint in this lettering using that number 2. I'm trying to keep the lettering as clean as I can. I love a rigger for doing this because it'll hold a ton of paint. And because of the shape of it, I can get nice clean edges. And most of the time I can paint the lettering in just a couple of strokes, because I can press it down, open the brush up, fill the space. And the number 2 is actually the ideal size for this font, because I can do it in just a couple of pulls. So chisel edge, press down, fill up the space, come back up on the chisel edge. And this lettering will probably take a second coat because we do want this nice and opaque. So I'm going to let each one dry and then I'll come back and fill it in really nicely. So if there's any thin spots, we'll catch them on the second pass. And don't be shy if you have a question.
Nope, Jessica's here.
Hi, Jessica.
Check Facebook.
So this lettering doesn't take very long to do. It is a little thin in a couple of spots, but we'll get that on the second coat.
You're out of both the trout surfaces and the arched plaques already?
Yes. We already have them ordered. I'm expecting them sometime this week. I'm hoping Wednesday or Thursday.
Patrick had a question? Where is it?
And Patrick had a birthday this week. And he won the drawing. One of the drawings on Tuesday night during the membership live. And he won on Saturday's live. So he had two goodies coming his way. No, it was Tuesday's live. Or Wednesday's live, I should say.
Yeah, Patrick's question.
Mm-hmm.
Tracing my pattern, the charcoal paper left finger marks where I held the pattern.
Yeah.
Tried the Factus Black to no avail.
Wow.
Any solution to making these marks disappear?
Yes, a little bit of odorless thinner. We'll take that off.
Odorless thinner.
Yep, odorless terp. 9 times out of 10, I'm having an issue with this particular sheet of graphite. I have a feeling I never stripped it before I started using it. And so I'm getting spots where the paint's not sticking to it. So it's scaring it away. It doesn't like the water, which means that there's some wax left on that paper. And 9 times out of 10, when you get those fingerprints that Factus won't take off, it's because there's wax in it or left on it. I have a couple of sheets of graphite that do that. It drives me nuts. So, almost done. Uh-oh. Somebody mentioned some kind of food because he's drooling.
Brisket.
Oh, I nearly bought a brisket the other day.
In my younger days, I cooked brisket by wrapping it in foil and burying it in a hole filled with mesquite coals and leaving it overnight.
Oh, yummy.
Yum.
Now, we used to do that with a whole salmon. But we used to pack it in beach clay. And then we'd have a fire, whatnot, and then you just put the whole lot into a hole underneath and throw the coals on top.
How do you prep your graphite paper?
I take a brand new sheet of graphite paper and a piece of paper towel and I rub the business side. It just takes off. There's like a light seal over top of the graphite. And I just rub some of it off. And just a second and I'll show you. Just find it works better. It's kind of like, you know how older graphite paper works the best? Or just aging it a little bit. Speeding up the process. Let me show you. I just happen to have a brand new sheet of graphite paper. So this is a brand new sheet. This is the business side. This is the shiny side. So we want the business side. Now I'm going to take a piece of paper towel, rough side up. I don't want the coarse side of this. And I just go like this. Now I'm using a fairly firm pressure, but I rub the whole surface like that. See? And it takes off sort of that light waxy coating that is on it and eats through it a little bit. And you'll find when you do this, it just seems to, the graphite paper just seems to work better. And it takes that light wax coating, or that, whatever that coating is. It used to be wax. I don't know what it is anymore, but there's just this light coating. And then it's ready to use. And I find it just works better. It transfers better. You get less of that issue with the fingerprints, whatnot, just by doing that. It's not difficult. It doesn't damage the paper in any way, but it does seem to help make it work better. So there you go. Tip number 1 today. So I'm just going to quickly finish up this lettering. And then we're going to let it dry. And then we're going to talk about our fish. Because the bulk of the work, quite honestly, is in that fish. From this point, it's all shading and highlighting on here, and it won't take that long. Whereas the fish is a little more complex, but that's okay.
Ooh, squeaky chair.
I had a new pair of flip-flops this week. They're squeaky. They squeak on the floor. I had to retire my favorite flip-flops. They were just done. So I got myself a new pair of Skechers, and I fell off of them. Twice. They're just a little too squishy, and so I have a tendency to fall off of them.
Sean made it till Friday without hitting anybody with a chair.
Oh!
My people skills are improving.
Almost finished. I hate this part. The base coating thing.
What is a rigger? It's a brush.
A rigger is similar to a liner brush, except that it, when you put pressure on it, it forms out like a flat. And they hold a ton of paint, as anybody that has used them will attest. Which liner brushes do not, but this rigger does. Okay, so.
Almost like a striping dagger.
Almost. So looks like a liner because of the way it's shaped. So it's got a longer bristle. It's in a round ferrule, but yet when you press down on it, it forms a chisel edge like a flat brush. Whereas liners and whatnot will form like a round.
Ask Sean what his secret is.
Who said that?
JL.
I don't know. I'm not allowed to go to Walmart unsupervised, so I has to behave.
Reasons why I became a dog trainer.
Yep. Because dogs.
Because dogs aren't people. Even though
you have remarkably good people skills. You just fail to use them at times.
I can deal with people.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I want to.
That's true. That's very true. So, our Gone Fishing is all base coated. I'm going to come back in and do a little work on that lettering a little later on, but I'm going to set this to the side because we have to talk about the trout.
Molly Ann stocks. Just thought of a reverse design for this.
Oh.
An abandoned tackle box and fishing pole, and says "Gone Painting."
Oh. I was sitting here the other day thinking how I could make this into a skeleton.
Do it.
I was like, Yep, skeleton fish.
Spooky fishing.
Spooky fishing. I think it'd be fun. Could do it for Halloween.
Can somebody remind me where in Canada I might find the Dynasty Flow Squirrel brushes? Stockade.
Stockade.ca. Yep. I know they carry black gold. And Country Bear. So our fish, and this is the fun part about this. I went and downloaded several photographs of trout in order to get this right, or as close as I could. I wanted to simplify this a little bit so that we weren't having to worry about so much minutia, because there is so much in here. So I simply implied scales. I didn't go for all of the minute detail of in ensuring we had every little scale done. So we kind of implied it. And how I did that was by using all of these dots. And that's all they are, is little dots. When you have a close look at this, it's just a series of dots. And then in order to make all of that work, I had to put in layers of color. And so we're going to start with the color on the belly. Now,
did you forget the apostrophe?
No, it's there.
Oh.
It's right there.
Yeah, you did.
So I'm going to use a big old point blender for this. Or any dry brush will work just fine if I can find mine. I seem to have misplaced it. Who knew? Found it.
Jeez,
So
that's a lot of brushes.
Is it any wonder stuff goes missing? So I'm using a point blender. You can use any dry brush you happen to have on hand. And I'm picking up a little bit of warm white. And we're going to put a little bit of warm white along the belly, like so. Neatness doesn't really count for this. It doesn't have to be perfect. But we want it to come up about ½ an inch or so.
What's the base coat?
The base coat is cobblestone. If you don't have cobblestone, you can use driftwood. You could use portobello. You could use any beigey gray tone will work just fine. So a little bit of warm white. I'm going to carry that along the bottom of the jaw too. Now what?
Deb.
Which Deb?
Bloomfield.
Okay.
Do what the aspirin bottle says.
Yep. Take 2 and stay away from children.
Yeah.
Yep. Keep away from children. That's
what it says.
That's what it says.
But it implies.
That's okay. I mistakenly get into the heartworm medicine the other day. According to my thought for the day.
Dot never had heartworms. She got treated early.
Yep. So there we go. A little bit of warm white all along the belly. And then we're going to go to the midline on this fish, which is, if you draw a straight line from the dip in the tail here to the corner of the mouth, that line across the belly is called the midline. And so we're going to put a line of just dry white all the way out to the tail. And this one needs to be a little bit wider. I'm going to go with about maybe ½ an inch to an inch. Just down the midline. Doesn't have to be neat and tidy. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Where can I get this fish?
This fish, Southern Ridge Trading, which is chipboard.ca. She's got tons. Tons and tons. I will not have any till later in the week, so her pricing is reasonable, and so is her shipping. So there, I've got a nice little blush of white all the way down. That's our midline. So it leaves us two places that we're going to apply color above and below the midline. So the colors we're going to use are Plantation Pine, Alizarin Crimson, and Bahama Blue.
If she can find the paint.
If I can find the color. Just the Alizarin Crimson was the one that was missing. I need some Plantation Pine. Of course, I have one bottle of Alizarin Crimson.
Not anymore.
Dear God. I think, well, it's not a bottle. It's like several drops in the bottom of a bottle. So I'm going to throw a little bit of Joe Sonia's in there and give it a good shake because it's not coming out of there all by itself.
Needs a little help.
It needs some help. There we go. So a little bit of Alizarin Crimson, and you don't need much. Good Lord. No.
Oh. What type of round brush do you use? The one that comes to a point?
The one that I usually use a number 4, 6, and an 8 in the Dynasty Black Gold. Like that. Those are my favorites. I like them because they come to such a nice point when there's no pressure on them, and they form such a beautiful round shape. So I'm going to start with that Alizarin Crimson, and I'm thinning this out quite a bit. I essentially just want a blush of pink. And just below the midline, I'm going to put a weak float of that pink. Neatness doesn't really count for this, so don't worry. Just like that. Kind of let that color run out a little bit towards the tail. And we're going to put a little bit of that same color on the gill plate over here. Little float of alizarin on the gill plate. Don't forget this little one here.
Cheryl D with a $10 donation.
Nice.
Let me find if there's a message attached to it. Boom. For the pups.
For the puppers. And then there's this little spot here on the plate, the mouth plate. We're going to put a little float of that alizarin there too. Just like that. Doesn't have to be neat and tidy. Doesn't have to be perfect. So we've got our alizarin crimson on the gill plates here. These little bits on the gill. Underneath the eye and above that upper lip. And then all along under the midline. The next color we're going to work with is a little bit of that Bahama Blue. I love me some Bahama Blue. And we're going to thin this color out too, because we're going to put a little bit like so. And it's just a wash.
Hard to see.
It is hard to see because it's just a light wash of that color. In that space between the white.
The sweet meat.
And the alizarin. So we've got that little blush of Bahama Blue. And it is just a blush of color. Not a lot.
That's where the sweet meat is. It is.
So, saffron yellow.
Ooh.
I know, right?
Really? Saffron yellow?
Saffron yellow. Just a little. We're going to use it on the face of this fish. So remember down here on the gill plate. Right up here, we're going to put a little blush of that yellow. And a little bit around that eye, this eye plate right here. Right around the eye. And I want a little bit on up in here. Just a little, don't need a lot. And then above the midline right here, just going to put a little blush of that yellow. Just a little bit, not a lot. Like so. Scary, but it's all good. And I like that little bit of yellow. I know it looks kind of funky right now, but it'll be fine. So I just realized I missed a couple of spots with the Bahama Blue. So along the mouth down here, on that chin, we're going to put a little bit of Bahama Blue. See that plate that runs right there? And at the base of our gill plate right there.
Oh, everybody's going nuts now.
Why?
$25 from Teresa Casper.
Thank you, Terry.
And JL. Her inner nerd came out, I see.
Oh, her inner nerd.
And I completely respect that because I get the reference.
Okay.
$20 from JL. Says, for the Alliance, I mean, pups. I meant pups.
So we've got all of our colors in. I know he looks a little sketchy at this point, but we're just building a base for this. So we're going to come into the eyeball.
And I'm sorry, JL, but for the horde.
For the horde.
Just to let you know where I stand.
Plantation pine. So we're going to have some fun with this. So plantation pine is a color I use a lot. It's my favorite dark green. I do an awful lot with it. So we're going to start with some plantation pine. And we're going to come over here to the eyeball. And I'm going to paint in around the eye. There's just a little spot here with a little bit of plantation pine. Just that space around the eye, like so. And then I'm going to darken that green a little bit with some black. I just want to make a really dark green. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But I just want to make a dark, dark green for the outer part of this eye, like so.
Yep, she knew it.
What's that? She got it?
She knew that I knew the reference.
There we go.
He looks angry.
Yes, he does look angry. You'd be pissed too if somebody nailed your butt up onto a board. Dragged you out of your lake. So his little inner eyeball here gets a sort of a flat top. We want him to look kind of annoyed.
Multi-stream's not working. All I got is YouTube right now, so if anybody on Facebook's got questions, sorry, I can't see Facebook right now. It's just being picky.
So I'm going to dry this real quick. So he's starting to look really annoyed, which is what we want.
He looks annoyed.
So I'm going to take a little bit of thin asphaltum. See that white ring around the eye? I'm going to just put thin asphaltum on there. I don't want it to be dark, solid. So I'm just thinning it out a little bit. Like so. And I'm going to dry that. And now we're going to start developing some more shading. I just wanted to get that done. I'm going to grab my 1/2-inch angle and some plantation pine. And we're going to start putting some floats of plantation pine across his back. Like so. And yes, we're going right over top of that yellow. Remember the yellow I put along there? It will work. And I'm coming down onto the nose.
Jeez.
Like so.
So we're at $1,805.
We are.
Probably a little bit more because of the
Yep.
donation button on the website. But yeah, the 2nd of December, 6th? 2nd?
Second.
The 2nd of December is the deadline.
Yep.
During that live stream, I'm going to put up a poll for you guys to pick your color. I've completely lost my Facebook feed. What?
I'm watching it. So I'm going to take my plantation pine and I'm going to put a float on the fins like so.
Do hearts do anything for a YouTube page or
Hearts?
I don't know. I think that's just like a like button, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
I don't know.
On the Facebook page, when you send stars, that gives us a donation that we apply to this as well.
Okay.
But
Yep.
hearts are just hearts. You're sending us love and we appreciate it.
I don't know. It says I could tap it multiple times.
Yeah.
Tap the heck out of it. I don't know what it does.
What, sending little hearts?
Yeah, it's an option on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just sending love.
But, no, I don't know what it does. And everybody's doing it.
We appreciate the love.
Yeah. I don't know what the hearts do.
They just send love.
Is this one? Oh, yeah, I could do face. I could do celebratory.
Oh yeah,
happy
it's just
face,
it's just emojis.
100%. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
So I've put in a few layers here and there of plantation pine to separate and lift those fins, etc. So he's starting to take shape. We've got that nice blush of pink, that little blush of blue. All those rainbow colors are showing up quite nicely on there. So I'm going to take a little bit of asphaltum because now I've got to tone some colors. And I'm going to give our fins a nice little shading of asphaltum, just like so. We have what's called browns here. And essentially they're trout, sea trout. And when they're sea trout, they're in salt water. And they turn into rainbow trout or speckled trout or whatnot when they make their way back up into fresh water. So they literally change color when they make that change from salt water to fresh water. And they're sort of brown in salt water. And then they take on these wonderful colors, other colors, when they hit the fresh water. At least that's what I was always told. But when you hear people here talk about browns, that's what it is. They're just sea trout. So a little bit of Graphite makes the world go round. So we have a nice brown tone, and our fish is taking on some nice shape. So I'm going to come in here to the gill plate because we need to really make this fella stand out nicely. I'm going to put a float of that plantation pine around the gill plate, like so, and darken the float at the back. Should be nice and dark at the very top of this fish. We want him to be nice and dark up there.
Oh,
and
wow.
then have that color gradually fade out as it comes down towards the midline.
YouTube Live's got new emojis.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, look at that. There's a whole new list of them.
Oh, cool.
That and Jessica was having fun with them.
Uh-huh.
There's a goat.
Goat.
There's a goat.
God of all things.
There's a monkey. Monkey with a hammer.
Oh, okay. Should be with a typewriter. You get that reference? So, I think I've got enough shading in there. We can start adding a little bit more detail to our trout. And I like this part. This is the fun part. I'm going to take my rigger, and I've got plantation pine and I have asphaltum on my palette. And I'm going to mix the two so I get a dark brownish green.
I don't think Renee sees the Facebook comments. That's the first one I've seen in a bit. It just popped up.
I haven't seen any in a while.
We would like to see the finished sample fish. There we go. Boop.
There you go.
Teddy Whitney has become a member. Awesome.
Awesome. Welcome to the madness.
Oh, they upgraded their membership to Creating with Tracy. Oh, so you were watching the videos and decided to join the cult. You drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep, yeah, drank the Kool-Aid. So when we're creating this fish, we're going to do this with a rigger and some untidy dots. I like to start at the nose so that I get a variety of different sizes. They don't have to be perfect. In fact, it's a bit more realistic if they're not.
You drank the asphaltum.
So I like the idea of having these dots come down, and it's as they come down from the midline, they're going to get smaller. So you're going to have larger dots up towards the back of the fish, and then they're gradually going to get smaller as they come down. So when you're coming down into this space under the gill plate, those dots are going to get a little bit smaller and a little farther apart. When you're up towards the top of the back of the fish, they can be quite large. And then fill in the little gaps with smaller dots, like so. Now, this part is time consuming. I know that. I'm okay with it. It's cathartic to sit here and just, paint little dots on things. I can completely understand why people like doing those dot paintings, those mandalas, because there's something really relaxing and cathartic about making dots. Just making dots. Little dots, fine dots, bigger dots, just dots. And it makes for a nice fish when you get these speckles everywhere. So when I'm working across, I like to work across the back and down. And then when I get into this area here, those dots are almost in rows, but kind of sporadic. But again, they're larger towards the top of the fish and smaller as they come down towards the midline. They also don't have to be perfectly round. I think that perfectly round is boring. I like the idea that these are imperfect. So the bulk of this fish, bulk of the detail that you see in this fish is just this. It's just these collections of dots and different sizes. Small dots, big dots, little dots, dots in rows. And it is fairly random, so don't try to make them absolutely perfect rows because that would just be counterproductive. And I love the idea of having dots on the face. Oh, and we have a new coupon code, secret coupon code on the website. If you've been looking, the stencil sale is over. So we've got a new coupon code up there for you. And remember, those dots come down onto the fins too. And again, they start bigger towards the body and they get smaller as they come out towards the edge of the fin. So this part, as I said, is probably the most time-consuming part of this, is putting all these dots on. But in the end, it's worth it. So we get this nice speckled look going throughout. Time consuming, but yes, it's a lot of fun. And it is a little cathartic. Therapeutic, I think, is probably the best description for it. It's a little therapeutic.
So I have 3 options, and I think I'm going to put them up on the screen.
Okay.
3 options for the 2-year emoji. Or the 2-year badge.
Uh-huh. And let them choose which one they want.
Yeah. They're relatively all the same.
Similar.
Similar.
Okay.
They're similar, but it's just different designs.
Okay. I'll let them choose.
Yeah. I'm just gonna add.
So my membership group did their live class on Tuesday.
Image.
Dawn Lavelle won the dibs, which I thought was hilarious. Because, man, she was quick. I no sooner put my signature on that thing than she dips. That was great.
Bro.
So the pattern for the membership, last month's membership class will be up on the website this week sometime. Along with next Saturday's class. We're painting a teacup next Saturday, and by special request, somebody had asked me to do an African violet. So that is what we're doing next week.
It's teacup. A little bigger than I thought it was.
Oh, that's cool. A crown and a paintbrush combined. I like that one.
So that's one. I had to put it up in the corner there.
Yep.
It's just a little big. This one's probably going to be big too. Yep, it did that. Of course, it went bigger. This is number 2.
I like the first one better.
And I have number 3. This one's probably going to be huge too. No, of course, that one's small.
Yeah, of course.
Make this one a little bigger. So which one?
I like the first one you posted. They're all cool.
Okay, number 1. Oh, Sheila likes number 3. It's just a brush with a crown.
This is the downside to painting all these dots. I keep putting my fingers in them.
Oops. So far, the ones are having it. I'm not seeing too many 2s. Oh, get some more 3s.
So when it comes to the midline, I've got a fairly consistent row of dots, and then just about the midline. And then we're going to put a series of just loose random dots underneath that midline. And keep them light, well spaced. You don't want them too close together. And we're going to bring them down about halfway, almost to the white, but not quite. So there is our bottom half. Like this part because you don't have to really follow any particular rule. And the same with the tail here. We're going to put a few little dots. And I'm going to put a row of dots on each of the fins, starting with a larger one and then letting them sort of peter out a little bit. So larger dot, let them peter out. Like so. And we're going to do the same thing to the one up top. So a larger dot, just let them fade out as they go. There we go. I kind of like that look. It works for me. So we've got dots for days.
I'm going to put a pole up.
Oh, yeah. So the tail is going to get done like this, just using rows of these dots that sort of fade out as you get towards the edge of the tail. And just sort of keeping in mind the shape of the tail as you're putting these dots down. And again, I'm not worrying too much. Just want to create a little bit of pattern per se, that's all. Rows and rows and rows and rows of dots. And just sort of let them peter out a little bit.
And boom.
Boom.
I started the pull.
Okay.
So
now we can actually start putting in a whole bunch of highlights on this. Because from this point on, it is mainly the highlights that are going to make this fish look more realistic. So I'm using a little bit of warm white and my rigger, but I'm thinning the paint out. I don't want it full strength. And we're just going to use sort of a flick method, starting from the end of the fin. So in between all of those little dots, those rows of dots, I'm just going to put a little flick, a little series of little highlights pulled back towards the tail. Or towards the body, I should say. It's not perfect.
So
Just like that.
here's number 1.
There's your highlight on the edge of the tail. And we're going to repeat that on all of those fins. So those little lines are going to go between those rows of dots.
Number 2. And number 3. The choice is yours.
So we have highlights on the tail and on the fin at the top. And we're going to come around to do the ones on the bottom. And again, it's just coming in from the edge. So I'm catching the brush on the edge of the surface and pulling back towards the body, so that there's a little space between each of those little packets of white. It just helps give those fins a little bit of texture. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one.
Ooh.
What?
It's looking like number 3
Cool.
is going to be the choice. But I'll leave it up a little bit longer so people can find the poll. And
I just saw a cookie flash across there.
a cookie?
Yeah,
A whole
bob.
cookie?
A bob. I saw a bob.
Bob. Yeah. No, Susan Gagnon. And she liked the stream.
So I've got the highlights on my fins. And I have a highlight that goes right here. And it's just a little stroke of warm white on the fin. And then this little portion of the gill plate just gets a little bit of warm white. Like so. And I'm going to come down here underneath the jawline and just put a little highlight along the bottom of the jaw, like so. And then we've got this eyeball, because I'm using just a little bit of thinned warm white to go around the eye, the black portion of the eye, and a little bit around that brown portion. And then there's a little highlight right here. And then the eyeball gets sort of this little teardrop shaped highlight that goes across on it and a dot below it. So we've got an eyeball. I want a little highlight on the gill plate here. And then there's a little space underneath the eye. I like to put a little bit of this, just a little highlight similar to the fin. I just want a little highlight underneath there. And he does look a bit torqued, doesn't he? And then comes the fun part. We have to make more dots to make our fish look realistic. We need to have a highlight on the belly and on the midline. So we're going to put a series of little white dots like this along the belly. The brightest ones right on that white dry brush that we did, and then the smaller ones coming up and mingling with the darker ones above. And this just implies that they're scales. So come bring that little dots of white up from that dry brush up towards the midline so that they just meet up with the darker dots that you have up there. And these are totally random. They don't have to be neat and tidy. They don't have to be perfect. They don't even have to be round. Just put them in. Little highlights like so. And then on the midline as well. And I like these ones to be a little bit bigger. And they're commingling with those darker ones as well.
There's 106 of you watching, and I only got 37 votes on that poll. Just saying.
And that's for the members, correct?
What's that?
That's
That is true. That is for the members badge.
Yeah.
For the 2-year mark. So if you've been a member for 2 years, you will get this badge. And it will pop up where your palette is. Which I'm going to have to do after the stream because I can't update that now. And I have to make those smaller.
So we're just about there with all of those nifty little dip dots. I like this. I like the little bit of white. I want to put a few more in along here. I like it.
No, the poll doesn't allow you to vote twice.
So we got all of our highlights in. And I love how quickly that this little guy comes together. So I'm going to dry him really well because we're going to start deepening a few shadows. We're going to deepen a few colors and just tweak some details on this guy. Need to fix his upper lip. Trout have this nifty little upper lip thing. Right here, I'm going to use a little bit of a... Ooh, didn't work. Too dark. There we go. That's better. So I've got a little bit of asphaltum in that plantation pine mixed. And I'm going to fix his gill plate, his jaw plate here. There's a little, call it his upper lip, if you will. It's just a little plate that protects their mouth. And I want it to stand out a little bit more. And put a little on the mouth here. And I'm going to grab my 3/8 angled shader because I want to start cleaning up a bunch of little areas. So got my 1/2 inch. I'm going to load this up with a little bit of plantation pine and a little asphaltum, and we're going to deepen those floats across the top of the head and around the gill plate. Like so, because we want these nice and dark. That's what gives this fish its character, is all of these great shadows. And do the same thing to the tail. I want to get some of that color on the tail. So from here out, it's just deepening shadows, creating a few more little texture, little shape. Some nice little detail. Should be fairly dark at the top of the fish and then gradually fade out as it comes down. But I think I'm just about happy with this. But I really want this area around the gill plate to be quite... There we go. And then I'm going to thin out a little asphaltum because I want to tone that gill plate a little bit. There we go. And tone that little bit of blue underneath the jaw. And look how pretty he is. Nice little rainbow trout. Waiting for somebody's frying pan. So I'm quite pleased with him. So I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to grab my Uniball Signo and just clean up a few little details. I like a few little details drawn in. So I'm going to grab my Uniball. And the details I'm talking about are just little things. Like on the gill plate here, there's this nice little detail that just creates a little texture in the fish. I'm just going to use my Uniball to sharpen those little details a little bit. They don't have to be perfect. You could do it with a liner brush, a little bit of lamp black if you want to, but I like the Uniball. It's just simple.
Ooh. Are you going to put some interference or glaze on it?
I'm just debating.
I don't know.
I don't know yet.
Well,
But I do like my little details. I like my little fine lines that I add with my Uniball. I like those things.
going to have to end the poll. Looks like the winner is number 3.
Okay.
Number 3 is the winner. So, let's pop up number 3. Boom.
There we go.
That's going to be the new 2-year badge.
Cool. I like my trout. It comes together quite nicely. Now I'm curious about the interference. Now, because he's a lighter color, I'm not sure that we will get much from the interference colors. But we won't know till we try. So I've got a little bit of interference blue. I'm going to brush a little of that on, just because I can. It's my sandbox. I can do whatever I want.
You can't tell me what to do.
So I'm just going to brush a little bit of that blue interference along the belly. Oh my, hello. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm kind of liking this. When I took that blue and went up over top of that alizarin crimson, fun things happened. So, and I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but we'll see.
Going to the studio.
So I brushed a little blue interference over top of the blue, and that alizarin on there. I don't think you can see it on camera, but it gave this just such a nifty look. So now it's got me thinking.
It's almost purple.
Yeah, it took on like a violet
Yeah.
tone. Yeah, it was kind of cool. Oh, where's my interference green? Because, I got to experiment. So I've got a little bit of green interference here, or turquoise, I guess it is. It's not really green. Oh, hi. Oh, hello. That's kind of fun. Ooh. That's kind of fun. I like it. So my fish has got an iridescent green quality to it now. With that little bit of iridescent green on top of that plantation pine, it kind of works. I like it. Gives it a sparkly look. Pretty spiffy neat. So there is our trout. So having done our trout, I'm going to grab our Gone Fishing sign because we need to finish out this lettering. And just a couple of things on here are kind of bugging me. They're not fully opaque, so kind of streaky looking. So I'm going to touch that up.
Where can I edit those?
So just give this a quick second coat because they're kind of sketchy looking. Got a lot of graphite lines I'm going to have to clean up on this one, but that's okay. Usually I don't because I paint over them, but for whatever reason this graphite paper just doesn't like me today. So I think this is going to come together quite nicely. So while this quick second coat is drying on this lettering, we're going to finish painting our trout flies.
Oh, it's super small. Why is it so small?
Because it's making it to fit that little space that it has to go in. There we go. Okay, I think I'm happier with this lettering now. It's a little thin in a couple of spots. So we're going to tackle our little fish flies over here. Now the fun part about this one is because it's very straightforward, this part. They're simple, there's nothing elaborate about these. We're going to shade the bottom of this one here with a little bit of asphaltum, just like so. Super simple, it's just a float along the bottom of our little guy. That gives us a nice little shadow at the base and keeps it nice and bright up at the top. And then on the wings, we're going to break out that Bahama blue. And we're going to put a float on the wing closest to the body. Just like that. We're going to bring it out about halfway up the wing. So close to the body. And then bring it about halfway up. For this back one, we're going to separate the two with a float of Bahama blue. Easy peasy.
It has to be a 48 by 48. Jeez. And of course, I got them at
Not.
the. I got one at 1440 by 1080. Yeah.
So on the Bahama Blue on these little bars, we're going to put a little stroke of warm white. And it's just a little stroke. Don't overthink it. Little stroke. And I come over here to this little guy. And we're going to give this a highlight. It's going to be right on the bar around the pupil. Just a dot of warm white. So we have a nice bright eyeball. And I realized I didn't put a highlight on this one. So a little stroke there. So with your liner brush, you're going to take some thinned With your liner brush, you're going to take some thinned warm white. And we're going to add a couple of feathers to this tail section on both of these. And this is pretty straightforward. It's just going to be press down and pull up. So I'm going to say 3 or 4 little feathers like so in that tail section. Little comma stroke of thinned warm white. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. There we go. So we have some fun texture in those feathers. And we're going to come over here to this little puff ball. And we're going to use a little bit of saffron. And we're just going to put in some strokes. The idea is to make this a little fluffy. So, little strokes, saffron yellow. Going to do the same thing with a little bit of thin warm white. The idea being is just to make this a little fluffy looking and a mixture of colors. And then I'll rinse it, and we're going to add a highlight to our these little twisty things here. So highlight like this, like that, and like that. Sort of a figure 8 type highlight, for lack of a better term, on the edges of those twisties. And then a little highlight on the hook. Whoops. So we've got the hook here, and we have a highlight there on the inside of that hook, and we're going to do the same thing to this one. So little white highlight on the hook. And that graphite is scaring the paint away. Mm-hmm. It is. It's just like won't stick to it. It's driving me crazy. And now on that little fuzzy bit, I'm going to put a few little strokes of asphaltum in there. Just because I can, and it gives a little extra texture. So we need to add some shading to the lettering, a little bit of highlighting and shading to our wings. And we're going to do that with a little bit of mermaid's tail. I love this color. It's wonderful for shading blues in particular. I love this teal tone. Keeps things nice and cool. And it looks great on Bahama Blue. So I'm going to shade my wings closest to the body, and it's going to be a small float. Down here, just going to create a little shape with that mermaid's tail. Nice little shadow in the wings. And then that same mermaid's tail is what we're going to shade our lettering with. So I'm coming down to the bottom of my letters with a nice little float of mermaid's tail. And I'm coming about halfway up the letter. So fit it nicely into the space of the letter. I'm using a 3/8 angle. It's so much easier because you can fit this comfortably in that space. And then I just walk that float up about halfway.
It won't let me resize it. Trying to get it done before the end of the stream.
Oh. So I just like this color with the Bahama blue. I had a whole bunch of reasons for the color palette that I chose for this piece. A bit more modern as far as the color choices were. And I didn't want it to look so rustic. I just wanted it to be appropriate, I guess was the word I'm looking for. I wanted it to be fresh and clean, but I wanted it to sort of follow a certain theme. And so I had to tie all of my color choices so that they carried. So the oranges and the salmon tones were in keeping with this. That's why I tied all of these colors together. And then let's walk that up. So I'm going to do the same thing to the little dot on the top of the eye, little float of that mermaid tail at the base. There we go. So all my shading's in place. I'm going to rinse my brush out, and then we have to put a highlight on this lettering, which is super simple. I'm going to use just a little bit of warm white and my rigger. We just want this to look a little slick. So thin comma stroke of white, all on the left side. If you'll notice that I'm moving the highlight towards the left side of everything. This just gives the lettering sort of a slightly shiny look. Because of the method I'm using, it's just a little comma stroke of white. So it gives it sort of a slick or more polished look. A little brighter, more colorful. And then I'm going to grab my pen. Oh, need one more thing. Almost forgot. Need my liner before I grab my pen. And I've got a little bit of mermaid tail on my palette. So I want to give this lettering just a little dimension. So I'm going to bring a line of mermaid tail out onto the shadow. And again, it's a loose stroke, nothing too fancy. It just gives a little more dimension to the lettering. And I'm using mermaid tail because I wanted to carry that color around a little bit. There we go.
I wonder if that worked.
So there we go. Little stroke there. So there is our Gone Fishin'. All our lettering is done. I am going to grab my favorite gel pen. I'm going to put a nice little scribbly line around the edges of my wings. You guys know I do this all the time.
I didn't.
So little scribbly lines. I like the extra detail on the wings. It's details them, defines them, but it doesn't overdo it. And then I'm using the pen to put these little lines in around the dots on my fly. Just like that.
Didn't work the way I wanted it to.
You'll figure it out. There we go. So I have a whole bunch of graphite lines I've got to erase yet, which is all good. It's all good. But I like to take my pen. I want to put in a few little lines around my fishing line here and there. It just details them, highlights them a little bit. Doesn't have to be much. I don't want to put a hard edge around everything. But I am going to let this dry before I erase all my graphite lines. Now, for this one, I didn't spatter beforehand, so I'm going to do a little of that right now. Just a little here and there, because I kind of like that distressed look. Nothing major. Now, the fun part about this trout is that I can mount it directly onto this plaque without any issues whatsoever, which means I can just glue this on like so. I can decide where it goes. It can come up here. It can come down here. I elevated mine. I just took a couple of small pieces of scrap wood and I glued it to the back of the fish, and then I glued that onto the plaque, and it worked out really, really well. So you can do it either way. If you like the elevation, all you need is a couple of wooden buttons or a piece of scrap wood. It doesn't have to be much, and then you can just glue it to the back of the fish and then glue the whole mess onto the plaque. The other thing I like doing, I don't like unfinished edges. This just bothers me. So you can take your favorite gold pen, paint pen, any color. You could do this with a Sharpie if you want to, and just finish the edges up. I just like them finished. So a gold paint pen, any color paint pen will work just fine to do those edges on here. You could also use a sponge brush if you wanted to, just to clean them up. There we go. That one's all cleaned up. And you can do the same thing to the trout. In this particular case, I painted the edges with the cobblestone so that I ended up with a nice clean finish. And you can lightly spatter this. And then once you've got it all done and you're satisfied with the results, it's all ready to go. Take it out to the garage, spray it with a couple of light coats of Decor matte spray or your favorite matte spray or varnish. Just a couple of light coats. It seals everything in nice and tight. And I recommend doing that because I use so many different media. So sometimes I've got these Sharpies or these Identapens. I couldn't get there from here. Yay! Yay me!
Didn't have to look at the pen.
Didn't have to read the pen to know that. And then I use the gel pens. So just to eliminate any issues whatsoever of something smearing or what have you, I always go out and I spray it with a couple of light coats of Decor matte spray. And then let it dry overnight before I hit it with my favorite varnish. And there you have it. Gone fishing.
Gone fishing.
Gone fishing.
Hopefully that worked. Did that work? I don't know.
What?
I think it did.
I like this one. It's not often we have things that are geared towards a more masculine theme, especially something for Father's Day. It usually involves something to do with golf or, you know, or some sort of a sport. But we don't often have anything to paint for Father's Day. So I thought that this would be a good idea. And I kind of like the fishing theme. It was fun.
Where is it? 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 Nope, that's definitely not the one I was looking for.
No?
That one.
Okay.
As it covers your entire face.
Yep. Not sure what that is. Oh, there's the wheel. Congratulations. You got it. Whole bunch of names on there. With Janani.
There.
Wow. And how many names are on there today?
Give me a second to... 181.
Nice. So that's our Gone Fishin'. I love this piece. I think it's a fun one. It's not that difficult to paint. I think what makes it is the dots on the fish and then all the layers of shading. So I think it's a fun one to paint. And I think there's going to be some dads going to be happy with their signs.
All right. What were the giveaways again?
So the giveaways today, we filled up some nice little create bags, some art stuff bags with a beautiful 5-brush set of Dynasty Black Gold, courtesy of Dynasty Brush. They were very generous. They always are. So I have to extend my thanks to them for their support because they do so much for us. It's not funny. And so we have great giveaways for you guys every week because we have great supporters from suppliers and manufacturers. So please don't forget to go and check out their websites. And because it's Dynasty Black Gold, of course, one of my favorite suppliers is the Brush Guys. So go and check out the Brush Guys at thebrushguys.com. Always have great prices on brushes of all brands, not just Dynasty Brush, but Dynasty Brush in particular. And of course, they also honor my coupon code of Tracy M. So it's Tracy, capital M, all one word. And they give you a nice little discount off of their already incredible prices. So go and check out thebrushguys.com. And of course, Decor Art's my favorite paint manufacturer. So all of the colors that I use are Decor Art Americana or a Decor Art brand. So if you're going to be painting any of these projects, keep in mind all of my patterns, all of the instructions have a complete supply list right down to the color names. So you'll be able to find whatever you need.
Are you ready?
I are ready. Spin
right.
that wheel.
Spinning wheel. Who do we got? Stutter.
Yeah, it took a minute.
Judy. Addison Galt.
Addison. Judy Galt. Right?
Judy Galt.
Right on. Miss Judy. I know I have Judy's shipping information because I packed an order for her yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right. It's Judy Galt. Oh.
So Judy's getting a really nice 5-brush set of Dynasty. They're specialty brushes. So
wow.
they're nice. There's some wave brushes in there. There's fountain brushes in there.
Yeah, we're spinning again.
Yeah.
Who do we got? Who do we got? And Cindy Nezizian.
Cindy hasn't won in a while.
I don't recognize that name.
Nezizon, yeah, I do. Yep.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. She hasn't won in a while. It's nice. I like seeing it when people haven't, they're here every Saturday. I love seeing it when people win.
Yeah, she won some brushes.
Yep.
Can't remember if I think she's on Facebook, isn't she?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
And one more.
Yeah. One more. Cindy Ellie Purcell.
Right on. So, Ellie, I think we might have your shipping information, but just to be on the safe side, go to the homepage on my website at tracymoreau.net. Click on the little space bubble in the lower right-hand corner, and a space bubble. I'm in a space bubble. Speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner, and send us your shipping information so that we can get your goodies out to you as soon as we can. Everything usually leaves Monday morning, so. As we've just finished the wheel, if you go over to the Tracy Morrow Live group on Facebook, we have a giveaway on there that is only running until Monday, Tuesday. We're going to be presenting it. So we have a spectacular, almost $50 value wood piece from Southern Ridge Trading that we are giving away on the Tracy Morrow Live page. And all you have to do to get entered is to share one of your favorite Christmas pieces or your most recent Christmas piece. Does not have to be one of mine. It can be any designer you want. Just make sure that you put the designer's name on the piece when you post. Just click it, post it on the comments, in the comments section on the contest post. And you'll get entered. All of those names go on the wheel on Monday, and we'll announce the winner on Tuesday. Yay. Yeah, so we have some great giveaways coming up on the Tracy Morrow Live group. So make sure that if you don't already or aren't already a part of it, request membership. We'll click you in so that you can come and join us. And we have some great giveaways. We have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of little perks just for being part of that. So come and join us. Next Saturday, we are painting African violets in a little teacup. I think you're going to enjoy it. One of our followers had made the request, and so here it is. I made sure that we got it for you. So we will do that next Saturday. Pattern will be up for you probably on Monday. So what else? Oh, yes, to my membership group. You have a study coming up this week. So break out your pencils. Just pencils. Nothing special. Good old-fashioned graphite pencils. They're going to be doing some study work with pencils this week. So, yep.
Just saying.
Just your pencils.
Tombow.
Yeah, Tombow pencils.
We got HB, B, and 2B pencils.
Yep. So that's all you really need is just a couple of good graphite pencils. So nothing spectacular. So watch for that. That will be posted this week. You also have a challenge up, which is working with your colored pencils, or watercolor pencils or watercolors or acrylics, whatever you want, with the Columbine. And then we have the class where we're doing the colored pencil project for our live class at the end of June. What else? I can't think of anything else. So don't forget, join us here next Saturday. And I wanted to say thank you for helping us hit that 6,000 mark. So on to the next challenge.
10,000.
10,000. So if you're not already a subscriber to my YouTube channel, please hit the big red subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that we let you know whenever we have a new video going up and when we go live. And if you don't follow me on Facebook, hit the follow button. I'd really appreciate it. So... come and join us here every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time for a free live class in painting. We talk about food, have lots of laughs, and we always have some great giveaways.
And technical difficulties. Both
not
mental
always.
and technological.
So we will see you here next Saturday, and in the meantime, we love you. Please stay safe.
And pet your dog.
And pet your dog.